All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us here on ACIM Gather. Right now, we have Zulma coming up, and A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind. It's all exciting and fun, and very interesting to see the way they come together, and I love it. And Zulma, I wanted to thank you for my birthday gift. Wow. Uh, Surprised as I was. Zelma, this mic is all yours.
You're funny. Thank you, Lynn. You only get what you deserve. Actually, deserve more than well. You get what I can give, but you deserve that and so much more. Um, it's so good that your worth is not established by how much is in my paycheck. This is in my account. Your worth is established by God. Um, but you're very very welcome. What is it? A magnificent Monday to each and every only one of us. Yay. Um, so I'm gonna say go Eagles. I'm glad that the Chiefs won. I would have been just as happy if San Francisco had won. For those who are into football, who watched the football game, for those who didn't watch the football game, in the third quarter, it suddenly became very exciting. I was praying for overtime. See, prayers are answered, and they went into overtime. Phenomenal game. I hung out with members from the Center of Peace. Um, my Reverend Twana Malone, she loves sports, and we had a great time. We laughed and we ate, and oh my God, we had a good time. It was fun. So, um, all right, family, we are here. Yay! I want to say first, good morning to Karen, who's here in the room with me. Thank you, Karen, for joining me. I appreciate that because I certainly could use some conversation. I always love conversation. Okay, so let me see who's in the room. Who am I? Good morning, Dove and Christopher and Carrie. Hey. Um, Glad you're here. And I'm trusting all is the way you want it to be. And if not, know that it is the way it's supposed to be. And it's all working for our good. Okay. We are, as Lynn mentioned, uh, studying or looking at or um, reading and 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 finding the mutual places where A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind. And good morning, baby brother. Regis just came into the room. I'm glad. A Course in Miracles meets Science of Mind. And as I've said before, this is something that I had been wanting to do for years. I actually talked about doing it for years and finally was given an opportunity to do it. And here, that was not the plan, but you know, who am I to plan? You know, all things are gently planned, not by me. So opportunity came, trust was involved. I said, all right, I'll do it. And here we are. So as always, we start with a reminder from Dr. Ernest Holmes that to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And from the message from the Course, the voice of the Course, an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. And that this course, like all courses, all mental sciences, is a course in mind training. And all learning involves attention and study at some level. We're reminded from miracle principle number 7 that miracles are everyone's right, but purification is necessary first. I can't uh, in this form can't think that I know it all and that I have all the answers and that I'm always right, because that has always led to unhappiness in my life, as in most people. I know, uh-huh, and then find themselves in a place of suffering. This is an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. It's important that we train our mind, that we avoid letting our minds wander. Nowadays, they call it mindfulness. We call it meditation. The Course calls it being engaged, just being engaged. Okay. So we had been talking about the miracle principle number 11. We're not finished with that yet. I'm putting it on the screen just for the sake of miracle principle number 11. We're still talking about prayer, and it's important that we do, primarily because prayer is the medium of miracles. For one thing, it's through prayer that we communicate with our Creator. It's our way of remembering. As religious science practitioners, the one thing that we do is pray. Is pray, and that's to say, if anyone is interested in prayer, and it's affirmative prayer. We don't ask for anything, and we've talked about that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We don't ask for anything because we already have everything, and that's what one of the key points of prayer. And I'll get into that. But if anyone is interested in prayer for any reason, just and it's affirmative prayer, so that I can know the truth about you, feel free to reach out. My information is available practically everywhere. Um, and that's all I have to say about that. All right. So as I was looking through the Science of Mind text, I found this prayer, calling it a prayer of faith. And it's thus: I have faith. This is by Dr. Ernest Holmes. I have faith. I am faith. I abide in faith. All doubt and fear have left me. I understand why it is that I can remain in faith. I have complete confidence. I do not waver nor falter in my faith, for I know that God, the living Spirit, is the only presence there is or ever can be. I saw that. I thought that was so pretty. So I figured I'd share that this morning. All right. So a reminder that we're talking about the 11th miracle principle, primarily that, prayer is a means of communication, and that through prayer, love is received. It's our means of our way of communication with our way of communicating with the Creator, and that through prayer, love is received. Um, and that's the part of this principle that I'm focusing on. We were still talking about prayer. We were in the section that prayer is its own answer. And I'm continuing from where we left off on Thursday. My days are, I have no clue. No clue. Um, and it's okay. This is what retirement did. I have to look at a calendar. I have to look at my phone to find out what day it is. Or if somebody says, "Oh, it's a Super Bowl Sunday," I'm like, "Oh, that means tomorrow's Monday." I need to. I'm getting a kick out of it myself. All right. So prayer is its own answer from the um, from the science of mind. Cause and effect are but two sides of thought, and spirit, being all, is both cause and effect. And the Course confirms that with law of cause and effect is the most fundamental law there is. The law of cause and effect, according to the Voice, is the most fundamental law there is. And that is mentioned in the section about fear, where the Voice is saying, don't ask me to free you from fear. I can't just jump in there and do things for you. That would interfere with the law of cause and effect, the most fundamental law there is. Because as we learn, we are cause, not first cause, but we are cause, and we are effect. And the Course teaches in more than one place that cause and effect are one. So Dr. Holmes continues, prayer then is its own answer. The Bible tells us, before they call, will I answer. Before our prayer is framed in words, God has already answered. And the Course teaches us, let me recognize my problems have been solved. And I think we talked about that on Saturday in another in our study group. I'm not sure. I go from one ACIM study group to another, or open my book, or it might have been Friday. I don't remember. Anyway, um, that words sometimes the 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 feeling is so intense that the most, I'm speaking for myself, the most I can do is just moan. Sometimes there really are no verbal words. It's just that communication. Oh, there he is. It's that communication that that channel is open between the creator and me, and my awareness of it. It's just sometimes there are no actual words. And then something that I was moaning about, I'm going to use that as, something that was what I was having, that was on my heart, something that was on my heart that I was praying about. And again, I don't pray for, pray about. I don't have to pray for something to appear in my life. It's already there. I just have to see it. My prayer is about that thing, that about me being able to see it clearly. And the Course talks about that too. But let me finish reading. Um, so before our prayer is framed in words, God has already answered. But if our prayer is one of partial belief, then there is a tendency toward its answer. There's only a tendency toward its answer. If the next day we wholly doubt, then there is no answer at all. In dealing with mind, capital M mind, that is, God is the mind, capital M mind, it's the one mind. In dealing with mind, we are dealing with a force we cannot fool. That is, so I'm, saying, yeah, well, I believe that God is, I really have faith that, and within me, I'm really doubting. Well, I hope so. You know, we don't even do hope. Religious science, we don't even deal with hope. Hope is, well, maybe. No, I believe. I know. I have faith. I trust. I don't have time for hope. I don't. I don't. Mm-mm. That these for me, and the word has different meanings to different people, but for me, it's not even about hope. I have to know. I have to know. Not even just believe, as we've talked before. In the midst of the word belief is lie. Everybody's beliefs are different, and what's different is of the ego. That's not of God. In dealing with mind, we are dealing with a force we cannot fool. We cannot cheat principle out of the slightest shadow of our most subtle concept. Now, this paragraph about the hand, I believe I put that on the next slide. Yeah, I did. So let me take this out of here. Oops. Let me take this out of here. Go to the next slide. The hand that writes and passes on, rather, the hand writes and passes on, but the writing remains. And the only thing that can erase it is writing of a different character. And as I was reading that, it made me think of, um, it made me think of that place in the Course where it talks about what for? That this is the only question that you must learn to ask in connection with everything. What is the purpose? Only the only thing that can erase it is writing of a different character. And the Course says, whatever the purpose is, the question that you must ask in connection with everything, What is the purpose? Whatever it is, it will direct your efforts automatically. When you make a decision of purpose, then you have made a decision about your future effort, a decision that will remain in effect unless you change your mind. The only thing that can erase it in writing is writing of a different character, whichever direction I'm heading in, as long as I'm choosing that direction. And so it is. And if I change the direction, whichever direction I'm heading in, and so it is. You all right, baby boy? Hmm? Something's going on with him. I'm not sure. It's time for a veterinarian. Um, so and that section, that particular paragraph concludes with, there is no obstruction one cannot dissipate by the power of truth. And that's simply because we see what we want to see. Even when we say we don't want to see it. That the person who's talking about how terrible things are and how badly they feel as a result of how terrible the things are that they're seeing, they say they don't want to see that. They're actually choosing that very thing. They're not choosing to see it differently. They're choosing to believe that things are that the life is that life is terrible and that the world is awful and that people are evil. And oh, how can that possibly feel good? But we but that's not the truth. That's not the truth of what life is. That's not the truth of what God is. It simply isn't the truth. And there's nothing that can block truth. We talk about that, what that the in the course talks about removing the blocks to love. Love is already there. It's always there. It's always there. What monkey? What? I don't know what my dog is smelling. He's sniffing away. Anyway, something's going on with him. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, there is no obstruction that one cannot dissipate by the power of truth. And that's truth with a capital T, of course. We're talking about the only one, the one power, the one presence. There's only one. To continue, so we learn to go deeply within ourselves and speak as though there were a presence there that knows. And we should take the time to unearth this hidden cause, to penetrate this inner chamber of consciousness. It is most worthwhile to commune with spirit, to sense and feel it. And you know what I say from chapter 4, the habit of engaging with God. Engage, engage, engage. The approach to spirit is direct through our own consciousness. I can't, well, we hear this. God told me to tell you. Well, in this group, the ACIM group doesn't say it that way, but I still hear it. God told me to tell you. Well, God works through me as me. And granted, God works through you as you. And there are times it's clear, it's clear that the message is coming from my brother, my sister, that in that moment they are my savior. But there are other times when people give us these messages when really what they're doing is they're trying to tell us what we should do. That makes me laugh. So the approach to spirit is direct through our own consciousness. This spirit flows through us. Whatever intelligence we have is this spirit in us. We are God. We live in God. We move in God. We have our being in God. We breathe in God. We are in God. It is in us and through us, and we are in it and through it. It is in me as I am in it. Just all one thing. Just one thing. It flows through us. Whatever intelligence we have is this spirit in us. And the when the science of mind talks about spirit, it's coming from the highest place. If you recall in the declaration that we believe that we are incarnations of spirit, that spirit is in and through each and every one of us, that we are all incarnations of the one spirit. That's it. We have this body, and but we're not this body. We are spirit with this body, and it just flows. It is the life source. Like Susan Michelle, she says the source energy. It's the source energy. It's our life source. We live in it. We move in it. We have our being in it. We breathe it. It breathes us as we breathe it. As I breathe it, it breathes me. All right, I'll continue from still the section in the science of mind. Prayer is its own answer. We can be certain that there is an intelligence in the universe to which we may come that will guide and inspire us. And the Course reminds us that the Holy Spirit is our guide. So we can be certain that there is an intelligence in the universe to which we may come that will guide and inspire us. Good morning, Michaela.
Good morning.
A love which overshadows. We are continuing, Michaela, from with Miracle Principle number 11 about that prayer is the means of communication, means of communicating with our Creator. Um, And as I've mentioned before, in case you didn't, I don't know when you first came, anything in purple is coming from the Science of Mind text or other Science of Mind material, and anything in blue is from A Course in Miracles. So we may be certain that there is an intelligence in the universe to which we may come that will guide and inspire us, a love which overshadows. God is real to the one who believes in the Supreme Spirit, real to the soul that senses its unity with the whole. What was it said? If you feel separate from God, who moved? The sense of separation is the only lack that we need correct. That we think that all of a sudden we're so alone, and that God's not there, and like God decided, oh shoot, you have something going on, I'm out of here. Oh, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Well, of course, you'd have to stop breathing instantly. You'd have to stop thinking instantly. We would have to stop everything instantly. Cease to be. And that's impossible. That's impossible. Einstein said, never created, was never born, can't die. It's eternal. God always is. As Joe Goldsmith reminds us, God is. So he is. There's no, and the Course says it too. God is, and nothing else need be said. That's it. God is real to the one who believes in the Supreme Spirit, real to the soul that senses its unity with the whole. The idea, just the very idea that there's no way I can be alone, that I am connected to everything, that everyone is connected to me, that we all have the same spiritual DNA. That's very, very empowering. And it goes back to workbook lesson 38, that there's nothing that my wholeness, that my holiness cannot do. My wholeness, I am complete. And everything is complete exactly as it is, which is why Wish World is not a real place. Wish World is not a necessary place. Wishing that something were different is saying that you don't that what is shouldn't be. Oh, by whose rule? By whose rules? Apparently the one that wants to be right. My rule that wants to be right, that it should be different. I am complete. I am whole. And there's nothing my wholeness, there's nothing my completion, there's nothing my perfection cannot do. It is written to be perfect, that is to be complete. As the Father is perfect, recognizing our oneness, engaging, knowing, knowing that simply that God is, and because God is, I am. And the Course simply states, be still and know that God is real. And Dr. Holmes continues, every day and every hour, we are meeting the eternal realities of life. And in such degree as we cooperate with these eternal realities in love, in peace, in wisdom, and in joy, believing and receiving, which now I say more knowing and showing, but believing and receiving, we are automatically blessed. Our prayer is answered before it is uttered. And again, from Workbook Lesson 80, let me recognize the problem has already been solved. In 79, let me recognize the problem so it can be solved. And in recognizing that I perceive that there's a problem, that only means that I'm not seeing the solution. It's already there. I just don't see it. I can't see outside my door right now because I have the door closed. But granted, there's stuff out there. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. In the movie, oh my gosh, the Christmas movie with Denzel Washington and Whitney Houston, whose title just slipped my mind. At the very end of the movie, it'll come to me. The Preacher's Wife, that's it. The Preacher's Wife. At the very end, the little boy says, just because you can't see the wind doesn't mean it's not there. And he was using that, as, of course, as the example, comparing it to God, spirit. We don't see spirit, but we see spirit in form. We see the outcome. We see the manifestation of it. We don't see love, but we see the outcome. We see the manifestation, be it an extension of love or a call for love. We don't see peace. We don't see joy. We don't see these things, but we see are the outcome. Because those are the intangibles. And how we choose to express it is the outcome. Cause and effect are one. Our prayer is answered before it is uttered. The Course states that prayer is a way of asking for something. That prayer is a way of asking for something. Let me make that a little bit bigger for my own benefit. And let me move this out the way because I'm that person that had the printing arts technology degree that has that takes issue when I see what they call a widow. That's a word at the end all by itself. They call it a widow. and it's graphically unpleasing to the eye, and you're not even aware that that's what it is. But anyway, that's just it's me. It's me. Prayer is a way of asking for something. Is the way the Course says it. Um, to the religious science, prayer again, we're praying about something, but the rest of this paragraph will explain exactly that. It's the medium of miracles, but the only meaningful prayer is for forgiveness, because those who have forgiven have everything. Now, what we do know, and I'm pausing on this because this is important to me. We're praying for, if you're praying for forgiveness, in truth, you're not praying for anything because you're already forgiven. In truth, there was nothing to forgive. So you're praying for something that is really nothing. You're praying for forgiveness. Now we in this body get caught up in, oh, what I did, and I wish I hadn't done it, and I shouldn't have done it that way, and oh, I need to be forgiven. I need forgiveness. I feel that I need forgiveness. Or that person, they didn't do it the way I thought they should. They acted this way, or they said it that way, and I think I need to forgive them. And of course, while I'm in that thought, in that thought system, I'm hurting myself because I'm attacking myself by thinking that something is wrong, something was done wrongly, that shouldn't have happened, it shouldn't have been that way, I shouldn't have said that, or they shouldn't have said that, or I don't understand, how that could be. Just taking myself through just a bunch of grief, and believing that forgiveness is necessary. The Course was written for that mindset. Which is why the mind training is important, because we have been taught to believe that we are being wronged, or that someone is doing something wrong, or that we are doing something wrong. In any case, there's a wrongness going on. Something is wrong. I see your hand, Regis. Go ahead. And good morning, big brother, little brother, big brother, brother. Oh, I need you to speak a little louder, please. I can't hear you. Oh, that's me.
You're bad.
A little bit louder. Come closer to the mic if you can, please. Could be me.
No, I can't hear him either.
Okay.
I can't hear him either.
Hold on.
There you go. We heard that. I heard that. I heard you say, hold on.
Okay.
And I heard that. There. Okay.
All right. There we go. Technology, it changes itself sometimes. But I wanted to share this because to me it just fits the point you're making about prayer. There's so many points. But you talk about answered prayer and what's moving, who's moving, and is it being answered? And so here's a real tangible personal situation, and you all already know it in some uh, light that I've shined on it before. Okay, my daughter at 2.5, 3 years old, taken from me, basically kidnapped, but by the parent, the mom. Pray. The answer, the only answer, I'm sure at one time, I don't remember. I'm just saying, I'm just supposing. I'm sure the only answer that I thought could be an answer would be the return of my daughter. But my daughter was never returned. To this date, have I not laid eyes on her. So, why am I still here? A man of love, faith, happiness, peace. How could that be? How could I still even want to have a trust or faith in a God that supposedly didn't answer my prayer? But I submit to you that my prayer was answered. And in so many wonderful, marvelous ways, but yet not with what I would think the only answer could be would be the return of my daughter. And I know people struggle with that. You know, they think, oh, I need a prayer treatment. I'm going to the practitioner and I want them to pray with me or give me a prayer treatment. Or I want to pray myself to God or go get the prayer warriors, whatever, your form of doing stuff is. A very interesting thing happened and unfolded in this very hard time of my life. Um, a pastor, I was working a job, called me at my job and recruited me on the phone from my job. He said, we've been talking and praying or whatever they do at the church. He said, we need some men teaching in our school. We got all women. We need some men presence around these students, around these young minds. And he recruited me off my job. And I went and worked full time for this ministry that had their own private school from babies all the way up to like sixth grade. And I became one of their teachers. Uh, in that process, I subbed in all grades, first grade, fifth grade, whatever. But my main assignment ended up being, I believe, K3, maybe K4. I think it was K3. So these toddlers were the same age my daughter was at the time. So all of a sudden, and all I heard all day, Mr. Regis, Mr. Regis, Mr. Regis. And they absolutely loved me. They worshiped me. Their parents would call me on the phone and like, all my child talk about is you. I even had some dads literally get jealous of me because of the admiration and affection their kids had for me. And it brought such a healing. I won't even try to number right now all the ways that it brought comfort and a realization about the safety of my daughter. Uh, to know that no matter where or what, this girl, my daughter, is capable of loving me. That her love never be lost because here were all these little children who never seen me before and just instantly loved me. And so that whole process, when I left there, when I left that job, eventually, uh, I had such a peace and such a surety about my life and who I was, wherever my daughter was, whether she returned or didn't return. I was a whole new person when I left that job. But anyway, I'll stop right there. I think you get the point.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. And see, and I heard how you started that story. Kidnapped, taken from me, and for a time, and 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 perhaps every now and then, but very briefly, it feels that way. But the truth is that we have exactly what we're supposed to have. Exactly what we're supposed to have. And that's the gift. That's the and you get that today, Regis. I know you do. Of course, I went to a grief counseling session yesterday. It was a grief counseling session. A woman was brought in to speak to whoever decided to come to this event, and I went to go listen. Uh, the question I would have had was the question that I would have had wasn't actually answered. I didn't ask the question. I didn't elaborate on it, but since I had, two friends that passed within 10 days in December. Um, and anyway, and grief is grief, feeling a sense of loss, and I put that in quotation marks, that something has been taken, you know, regardless of what. Grief is grief. And it's important. It becomes really, really important to see the truth and how these prayers are answered in ways that we don't understand, but it's bigger than we are. It's bigger than we are. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that what God is bigger than me. I'm it, but I'm not all of it. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that, you ended up with a bunch of third graders, little babies, to help you to feel a sense of love that you could not have felt from one person necessarily in that regard. But that part is hypothetical. Um, but a whole bunch of it, and that's fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for that story, Regis. Go ahead, Karen.
Thank you, Regis. Oh my gosh, that was beautiful. I wrote a couple of notes when you were sharing, and what came to me was when the course talks about specifics, and when we ask for specifics, that's special. That's our special prayers. And he says that, God doesn't answer special favors, and that's why we think he's an unloving God, and that's why a lot of people turn away from God because their prayers aren't answered. And I believe, and I think that most of us do believe this, trusting, that all things work together for good, except in the ego's judgment. And everything that happens is happening for our higher learning, and it's happening for us, And what came to me was Miracle Principle 8, which I know Zulma recently covered. And it says that miracles are healing because they supply a lack. They are performed by those who temporarily have more for those who temporarily have less. So the only lack that you were feeling, really, in truth, was the separation from God, which is exactly what Zulma is talking about. And the separation from God is the one problem that Zulma mentioned in lesson 80, the one problem that we think we're separate, that has already been solved. And then she talked about cause and effect. Cause and effect are one because ideas leave not their source because we never separated from God. And then what also came to me was true prayer, which is exactly what, you're talking about here is true prayer. The only meaningful prayer is forgiveness, but true prayer recognizes that we have no needs. That, as Zuma's been talking about also, that having and being are the same. A really quick story. Yesterday, I went to help my granddaughter and daughter. They asked for my help, and I was there to help them just be that loving space, so they were having a conflict. And let me tell you, this started out beautifully. Oh my God. Like I was like, yay, and I wasn't doing much. I was just being that soft presence. Then it started turning into conflict. And, I really didn't know what to do. And I went in there, before I went in there, I said that I want to be truly helpful prayer. So I just really couldn't do much but sit there and not do anything and trust that this is all happening for the greatest good. So I left when I left, and I felt a little sad that it really didn't help the situation. But like, who am I? I'm not God. Like, I don't know what that, I didn't have an attachment to the outcome. If I had an attachment to the outcome, I would have been like trying and trying, but I didn't. Even though I would have liked it, it didn't happen. So then that evening I asked Spirit, and I was guided to call my granddaughter, and I called my granddaughter and I talked to her about our thoughts, and how our thoughts are the problem. And it's always our thoughts that are the problem. And she really was interested in it because she said, yeah, Grandma, I'm up all night. I can't sleep because I'm always thinking about all this stuff, and I can't stop thinking about it. And so I talked to her a little bit about the course, which I have before, but I told her about this new book that we're all, reading, is this on children. So I asked her if she would like it, and she said yes. And I was so happy because I was thinking about getting it for her, but I thought only if she really wants it, I'll ask her. And she wants it. So I'm so grateful that that door was open for her, and she's willing, and there is the miracle. It wasn't of me, it was, and it wasn't that I had this, I did kind of have a specific prayer in a way, I wanted their problem to be resolved, but I knew I couldn't resolve it, you know? So it's just beautiful. And thank you. That's all. Thanks.
I love that. We never know what anything is for, Karen. See, all of that was really about you being able to get this book to this young lady.
And Zuma, Karen mentioned forgiveness, and that just the level of forgiveness back during this time, when this happened with my daughter, was so phenomenal that when I tried to date, and when you date, you got to talk about who you are and how you got to where you are today. So that's just part of the dating process. Do you know that I have met so many women who were intimidated or jealous because when I talked about that situation, they didn't hear any animosity or hatred towards the mom,
Hmm.
to the degree that they would ask me, well, it sounds like if she came back, you would try to get back with her. I'm like, no, but I don't have to hate her, do I? So it's
Right.
like, I'm like, it's just, but that was so strange, knowing the circumstances and what she had done. It was beyond human uh, ego belief that there has to be some attachment to that person or something, because it wasn't that I was always talking about anything. It's just that they didn't hear any unforgiveness or hatred in my voice or in my tone or in my body language. That it wasn't present because the forgiveness was there. It wasn't no blame game or somebody done me wrong song. It was just the facts. It was just the historical facts of my life and nothing else.
Perfect. That's perfect. And that's key. I heard Lynn say, don't interpret. Don't interpret. We like I said, read just the facts. Just the facts, Jack. Don't interpret. Just see it for what it is. Don't turn it into a story. It is. This happened. I don't like it, but I accept it. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Acceptance is the forgiveness. Yeah, Mikhail, your mic. Go ahead.
I just want to say about Regis's situation with his daughter. That's extremely painful, and sometimes his partner, the mother of his daughter, that was her ego, possibly wanting to, hit spite Regis with revenge. Like, I'm going to show you, I'm going to take something that you love, the most precious thing from you. I'm going to take that away from you, and you're never going to be able to see her or find her. But what I can tell Regis is that when my teacher, Mr. Tara Singh, ended up getting Alzheimer's dementia, he was put in a very nice nursing home in Hollywood, and a lot of traffic in that area. And I went down to see him, and in his photo album was a picture of Ken Wapnick and his wife Gloria, and so they were friends. And so I had closed the book, and I had left Taraji, my teacher, and I went back to the class in Temecula, and I saw Ken, and I said, "Hey, Ken, Taraji's got Alzheimer's dementia, and he's in this nursing home in Hollywood. Do you want to go see him? I can give you the address." And Ken said to me, "No, I don't need to go physically see him. I'm going to send him my love, through his mind, his right mind." And so that really kind of impacted me, that, you know, it kind of goes with the course where, you can pray for those that aren't even here, that have passed on, your loved ones, or you're just keep praying for your daughter and pray for her mom, and just keep sending your love to them. Just keep sending your love to your daughter. And thoughts are things, and she will feel it. She will feel it, and thoughts have an effect. And so what Ken said to me that day really affected me, because at the time the Course in Miracles student, where at the level that I was at, I mean, I'm grateful that I got to see. It was a blessing to see Taraji and sit next to him and be in his presence, even though he was tuning the world out. I was grateful that I was there to see him physically, but Ken didn't have to go see him physically. So that was really something for me to have that whole experience with Tarji and with Ken and what he said to me. And he said it very lovingly and kind to me. So I just wanted to share that with you, Regis.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Karen put in the chat, only our loving thoughts are true. And that's really it. Uh, and just a slight difference in wording for me, that I don't pray for people. I pray about them. I pray about knowing the truth of who they are, which of course brings me peace. And because we are one mind, yes, it extends. That energy keeps on going. That energy doesn't stop with me. It keeps on going. But that's really, I'm praying to know the truth about them, to know the truth that we're still one, regardless of whether we're physically in contact with each other. We're one. That that everything that is occurring in their life and in my life and in every life is exactly as it's supposed to be, for our good. And it's the whole thing of wishing it wasn't so, and thinking that shouldn't be, and I'm a victim here, and that's where the pain comes in. When it was Regis said, just the facts. Just the facts. Maybe not initially. Not initially. I mean, when he started the story, he said, kidnapped, taken from me, and not returned. Those were the words he used initially. But as he moved through that, and as we all move through that, I don't want to keep harping on that story, but as we move through life and look at things as they are, what happened? Such and such happened. End of sentence. Not how I feel about it, what I think it should be, and this, that, and the other. Shoulding. we are too full of should. We need to get out of the should house and keep our should to ourselves. There's no place for shoulding. It doesn't help. I'm talking about it in that regard, in terms of how something is supposed to be. No, it is the way it's supposed to be. It is the way it's supposed to be. Gently planned and for our good. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, there's no such thing as wish world. It's not a real place. Right? And so what came to what you were talking about earlier with the untrained mind can accomplish nothing. The untrained mind. So we transfer that mind training into every situation. And that's what we're learning to do here. And we just transferred that, and we all are learning to do that into every situation, because we recognize that every problem is the same. And this is really what this topic for me is about, that remembering that the only problem is the idea that I believe I'm separate from God. And as the Course reminds us, the correction is always the same. And that's what I was kind of explaining to my granddaughter last night a little bit. And she kind of understood. Of course, I don't expect her to really at this point, just planting a little seed in her mind. But I mean, it's just remembering that, and just so the answer is always the same, the problem's always the same. And that helps me so much not to put my specifics on it, not to put my value on it, not to put, my interpretation on it, and just to recognize, help me see this differently. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, help me see it differently. If the way I'm seeing it is doesn't feel right, then I'm not seeing it rightly. And it says it in the Course. I must have decided wrongly, because I'm not feeling good about this. And that's a major paraphrase. I decided wrongly. The way it's supposed to be is the way it is, not the way I think it should be. I didn't, I'm in charge of my part, and that's really all I'm in charge of, my part. And I don't know what your part's going to be. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what anything is for. I don't know what role, the big picture of the role I play. I only know this little bit of it. This little bit of it, I don't know past, I don't know, beyond February 12th, 2024. I don't know. I don't. I don't. And attempting to live in the future. In fact, Ernest Holmes talks about that. I don't think I'm going to be able to get there. Or maybe I will. Who knows? I have 4 whole minutes. So the course reminds us that the prayer for forgiveness. Okay, once forgiveness has been accepted, here it is. Prayer in the usual sense becomes utterly meaningless. Once I realize that I already have everything, then what the heck am I praying for? The prayer for forgiveness, here it is nothing more than a request that you may be able to recognize what you already have. We already have everything. Being and having are the same. I am, I have. I have what I am what I have. I am spirit, I am spirit. I am not this body. I am spirit incarnate. I am not this body. No one is their body. And we already all have everything. And I'm not going to get much further in this. I'll go here from Dr. Holmes. We should, because he talks about this actually the section that this comes from, the section on nerve trouble in the body. He talks about, because of course we know as it's all one problem, but he brings different things, he brings up under different sections. He says we should erase the thoughts of yesterday that would rob us of today's happiness. Bingo. There is nothing arising out of the past that can disturb me. The past, the present, and the future are one unbroken stream of good. There's a lesson in the course that says that it says something to that effect, that the past can't hurt me. The past can't touch me. It can touch me not. The past can't touch me. It's gone. It's over. It's done. It's finished. The past, the present, and the future are one unbroken stream of good. Now, the way the course talks about that, it's releasing the past to move from this point forward. And what Ernest Holmes is saying, basically, that there is no past, present, future. It's just now. It's just now. Every moment is now. Every moment is now. The one was what was now before is not now, because now is now. Yeah, I said that. I loose all thoughts that in the past have caused anxiety. The spirit knows no past and is not affected by the belief in any. The past is swallowed up in the victory of a perfect present, a perfect present, a perfect present, which is filled with love and protection. Filled now, always filled with love and protection, because God is now, right now. And again, the miracle principle, it undoes the past in the present. Oh, that's miracle principle number 13. Oh yeah, that's where I was really going, into the next miracle principle, but it's okay. But that was worth saying right now. The miracle principle, it undoes the past in the present and thus releases the future. There is no whatever. Today, it's February 12th, 2024. And as much as I would love to go back to February 9th and celebrate Lynn's birthday again, oh, that was so much fun. As much as I would love to go back to the Super Bowl party and watch it all over again and watch how it happen, that was so much fun. Today is February 12th, 2024, and I can't go back. And with that, I am going to release the mic. And we'll talk more about miracle principle number 13. Hopefully on Thursday. Lynn, I have to talk to you about that. I may not be here. But I may have to drive out to New York. I'm not sure yet. but I will get back to you on that. So family, thank you for being here. Regis, Karen, McKaylee, I appreciate you all being here. And Lynn, here's the mic.
Thank you so much, Zulma. And wow, beautiful, beautiful session. And thanks everyone for joining in. And it's interesting to me. Um, uh, Raven, Teresa's not in the room yet, so I'm just going to talk for just a minute. So I was listening to Regis' story, thinking about how many parents have been, taken apart from their children. And, I mean, it's just a beautiful symbol of us being taken apart from our father, or thinking that we have been, but never have been, because we're always in his mind, as in your daughter's always in your mind, and she's always, I mean, you're always in her mind too. She knows you're there somewhere. And maybe like Dove, she may show up someday. Dove has a daughter, Natasha, who just one day showed up and said, "Here I am, your daughter." And not only was she amazing and beautiful, talented, and educated and brilliant and all these different things. She's also a spiritual seeker, and now a student of A Course in Miracles. And she comes into our mornings. We do um, a lesson with Maureen Muldoon's group on, he does his on Sunday, I do mine on Saturday. She's in my Saturday group. And then and speaks up very eloquently. And then I just heard that she was in Dove's Sunday group yesterday. So uh, it's just an amazing thing. And, it may never happen, but, you know, we don't know. And this whole question of parent and child is so compelling for us as humans, um, because we think there's some sense of belonging or ownership or connection. But we're all connected in the same way. Just because, you didn't come from my mother's uh, body doesn't mean you're not my sister's, Alma. You are as much and more than ever, even physical people. So sisters who, you're just my Zoma. She's my Zoma, Karen. All right, I love you guys. I'm gonna close
I
this
love you
out.
too.
And we'll go look for
Thanks, Lynn.
Teresa.
We can share her.
Okay, okay, all right. I'll do, because we got to share you. So you're our Karen also. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful family we have. All right, so I'm gonna let go of this and close.